Hi everybody, this is Joe with thetechnologycloset.com, and today I'm just going to give you a few maintenance tips for the Mac. That they're just my opinion, but they're pretty solid tips that anybody can should follow along with. And if you do this, your life will be a lot better, and your computing experience will be a lot happier. Um, First thing is if you have an issue, if you're seeing that you're having an issue with a disk, or even if you're not having an issue with the disk, if you've installed quite a bit of applications in the past, you want to, from time to time, run disk utility, um, which is in the applications utilities folder. You want to run disk utility and run repair disk permissions, okay, or repair disk volumes. And repair disk volumes is really if you're seeing computer freezes and you think your hard drive may be having an issue physically. The repair disk permissions is more if you've installed a lot of applications and things, you want to make sure you run that every once in a while to make sure that the permissions on all the files in your system are what the operating system needs them to be. So basically, let's get into it real quick. I'll show you. If you go to Spotlight Search, Command Space, and we launch Disk Utility. Okay. We have Disk Utility. We have a Macintosh HD volume, and we have a backup volume. Two different disks, two different volumes. The Macintosh HD volume, you can do a repair permissions on this while the system is up and running, or verify. I like to do verify first just to see what's wrong. It doesn't take any action against those issues until you hit repair disk permissions. So I like to do a verify first and then a repair. The disk issue, you can run a verify. I would recommend not while the system is running. I would recommend booting off of a USB bootable drive for Mountain Lion, or booting into your recovery partition and running disk utility from there. That way, the volume that you're trying to look at for repairing isn't active. There's not files locked. There's not files being written to and read from. It's isolated. So I'll do verify disk permissions now. We'll take a look and see how that runs. It's going to ask for an administrator password. And it's going to run. And your time will vary. This is really an estimate. It says 2 minutes a minute. And as you can see, it's finding things here. The permissions differ on library should be these, and they're discovering differently. Group differs on library quick look. Okay, it's finding some issues here. So we're going to wait until this completes, and I'll show you the results when it finishes, because who knows how long it's actually going to take. Up to 3 minutes now. Oh, maybe not. So as you can see, it ran and found a few discrepancies in the disk permissions on certain files and folders. What I would recommend doing, it's okay in my opinion to run the verify while the system's up and running. If you want to do a repair, again, I would reboot into the recovery partition, run disk utility, and run repair disk permissions or repair disk from there. That way you're 100% sure nothing's accessing the files and folders that you're trying to repair on that volume. So I'm not going to run it here, but that's using disk utility. Again, if you're having issues, suspected issues with your disk, you want to check and see if it's physically okay. That again, boot into the recovery partition, run a verified disk on the volume, or a repair disk if you need to. So we have a backup partition here as well. We'll get into that later. That's just an external drive. I can do a repair disk on this perfectly fine because the disk is not part of the running OS right now. It's a separate drive, so we're good to go on that, but I'm not going to do it. We're going to quit out of disk utility. That's tip number one. Run your disk utility to repair permissions. Do it occasionally, once a month, every 6 months, whatever, but as long as you do it once in a while. Next tip is going to be run software update to keep your OS software and your third-party software from the App Store up to date. And since not every application may be sold through the App Store or updated through the App Store, you may need to go into the individual applications, third-party applications, Lightroom, for example, or if you have Photoshop, or if you have, I don't know, another third-party application that's not offered through the App Store. You'll need to go into those applications on occasion and have them check for updates individually. That's kind of a drag, but that's the way we did it in the olden days before the App Store. So two ways: you can either go into the App Store, okay, and we have one updated already, and click on the Updates tab. It's going to ask for the administrator password again. Okay. So we're in, okay, and we have the one update. It's a Digital Camera Raw compatibility update. I don't need to install that right now. If it was another OS update that required a reboot, it would mention it here, reboot required. And I would recommend that if you're not ready to reboot your machine as soon as that thing's done downloading, I would hold off on even hitting update until you're ready to reboot. You don't want to download and go to apply the update and then say, oh, I'll reboot tomorrow or later today, and then forget. And then you have a pending update that's half downloaded. When you do it and reboot. The other way to get in here is do Apple Menu Software Update. On Mountain Lion, this will take you right into the App Store Updates tab, because the updates are provided through the App Store. So that's the next one. Update your OS and the applications. Make sure you're on the latest ones. There's a lot of bug fixes that come down, things that you may not experience right now but may come back to bite you later, that are fixed in these updates and security patches and things of that nature. So that's the second tip of the day. And next, we're going to let you know, don't save or try not to save files directly to the desktop. And what I mean by desktop is what you're looking at right now, which is when you first log into your machine, whether it be Mac or Windows, you see your desktop background and your shortcut icons. I see a lot of people, especially on Windows machines, that actually have, and I've been guilty of it in the past myself because it's an easy place to put them, who have gotten files, not just shortcuts, but files, pictures, videos, PDF files, Word documents, Excel documents, etc., and actually save them directly on the desktop, so the icon's there. And the problem with doing that is when your system boots and you log in for the first time, every document and file that's on this desktop has to load before you can interact with it. And if you have a lot of large files in there, it's going to slow down that login process. It's going to make your computer seem like it waits forever before you can actually use it once you turn it on. So the quickest way to speed it up, if you've got a bunch of those files in there, is save them to your home directory, which all these modern operating systems provide. Mac, Windows, Linux, all of them provide home directories for the users. And in those home directories, there's usually predefined folders for documents, downloads, videos, photos, music, all that stuff. So you can categorize it by putting the proper files in the proper locations there, and don't save them to the desktop, because that is the one folder. If you look in your home directory, there's a folder called desktop. That one folder loads, and everything in it loads when you first log in. And if you have large files in there, it will slow you down incredibly. So try and keep it as clean as possible, and that's just, it's my opinion. It's a fact that it will slow it down, so it's up to you guys if you want to. If that doesn't bother you, then that's cool. Next and finally, backup. You want to make sure that the very first thing you do when you get any new computer, I'll speak about a Mac in this case, is go out and get yourself a external hard drive. They're not very expensive. You can get a terabyte external hard drive for $100 or less, and plug it in. One of the first things you should do when you turn your computer on for the first time is turn on a backups resource. In the Mac, you have Time Machine. We've done a video on Time Machine, how to set it up. It's basically, you go up here and you select, open the Time Machine preferences, you select your disk, you turn it on, and it's set it and forget it. It'll automatically back up to your external drive that you purchased. But that's the very minimum you should do. And there's a lot of other things that you should do on top of that, such as maybe looking into some some pay cloud-based backup options. My personal favorite is CrashPlan. It's unlimited storage. It's a little slow, so you need some decent upload bandwidth on your internet connection, but it's great peace of mind to know that God forbid something happens to where your backup drive is located, sitting next to your computer. Natural disasters. We just had Hurricane Sandy this past year, wiped out a lot of people's houses and property, and along with it, I'm sure their computers, and if they had a backup drive sitting next to that computer, that's probably gone too. So things like your photos, your family photos, and those precious documents, gone. So to have it in a separate location other than your home or office, perfect. So backup, backup, backup. And that's basically it for the tips. You follow those few tips, and you'll have peace of mind that your data is safe. You'll have a little bit snappier login process on your computer. You'll even have a snappier computer, because if you run your disk utility every once in a while and make sure your permissions are proper, the computer will run a lot smoother. And make sure your software is updated. That again will improve performance and add features, and yeah, it's a win-win. So that's our tips for the day, and please continue to watch and give us a thumbs up if you like it. Thanks.